Thank you to everyone for joining us today as we discuss ways of closing the largest IT gaps. Those biggest IT gaps in our industry are some of the ones that are going to be the most common, costly, and those big weak points that are really going to hamstring our industry or our business if we're not prepared and thinking about things from the future perspective. Today, we'll cover items such as the lifecycle management of our assets and our solutions, patching from our OSs to critical pieces of our infrastructure, strategic views and strategic focus ahead with automation, proper backup testing, and preparation for rainy days like when a disaster hits and you need to activate a DR plan. Our main goal for today is to educate everyone here so that we're all prepared for the modern IT world that we live in. As we look forward at our technologies that we have, one of the biggest pieces that we need to consider is proper lifecycle management. That's going to be from the moment we onboard a user, device, solution, new product, new line of business. How do we make sure that we're deploying something that's consistent, that that was properly designed, and that isn't going to need a lot of manual oversight to keep that new item alive and thriving? Once that item's onboarded within that lifecycle process, you're really going to start to see some of that value as you're deploying it out, and you want to focus on consistent deployments so that your end users are, you know, properly deployed, that their solution stacks that you've invested in are consistently available. And some of that consistency is going to rely on maintenance. A large part of that process is going to be making sure that we're staying up to date on our vulnerabilities. We're staying up to date on monthly patches. We're making sure that we're in good relationship with best practices from our vendors and staying consistent so that whatever new items there are, we're never considering those a resource drain, and we're never falling through those grates with our products and losing sight of making sure that our investments are properly secured. Once we're solid in that life cycle process from a maintenance perspective, we have to look at how do we grow this? How do we make sure that things are upgraded, that we're making sure that we're properly designed that we're properly designed to manage disasters, that those products can be available throughout the entire life cycle up until its retirement. We all know that we have to sunset things at some point. We have vendors that have requirements that, you know, like Dana said, we've got Windows 11 deployments that have to go out. These are super important things that have to be available for our end users. That means sunsetting our Windows 10. At this point in our entire modern IT infrastructure, we're looking at the past to see where all of those devices are, making sure that we're looking ahead to see, do we need them? What's the cost? How do we make sure that we're properly securing what we need and we're not playing catch up in the last mile? For IT leaders, a lot of that burden of the routine infrastructure work, the tasks that take away from the critical business components, those things that actually drive revenue, increase profit, all of those distractions from the routine infrastructure work really take a toll, especially as our product stacks continue to grow. Those requirements for best practices, for proper maintenance and securing upgrades become more and more complex as the days go longer. And so some of that fatigue will eventually inhibit, that will eventually enable burnout all around. So one of the main things that we want to focus is how do we be proactive instead of thinking about things in a traditional mindset, right? We're in a part of the world that we're decades ahead from where we were decades ago. Uh, we're looking at transforming that traditional mindset to something that is a much more proactive, automated, and efficient process, something that's secured and consistent. I think that's going to be one of the themes for today is minimizing things that um, you know, bring us more heartache, minimizing some of those inefficiencies that allow us to, uh, that force us to spend more manual time in processes. Those automated life cycle items can sprawl from uh, patching of our OSs, quick deployments from firewalls or other devices, um, hypervisor upgrades, right? So we want to make sure that we're thinking not just about checking the box, but how do we make sure that that box is secured, automated, and properly designed so that you're efficient in your day to day. The main goal at the end of the day is focusing on reducing our risk. We can't eliminate it. The main goal has to be to focus on lowering it as much as possible, becoming comfortable with our risk, saving money. At the end of the day, we're a business. Everybody has to be focused on increasing our profitability, making sure that we're more resilient in our infrastructure, and minimizing any forms of waste in our industries. So all of that has to come with a strategic focus on how do we propel ourselves to uh, the next stage of our modern IT infrastructure. Gaining that peace of mind is critical. Gaining that ability to be a little bit more agile, be a little bit more resilient. All of that adds to the cost savings. All of that greatly reduces the risk and allows us to have a peace of mind and sleep a little bit easier while we continue to grow our businesses in the most critical ways.